Hey everyone, Shabby here, and welcome to a video. And myself, Mr. PJ Tovey,
hello,
is going to discuss what happened at Wrestlemania. Yeah.
Tired.
Yeah, it was a long one. I think we went to bed at about 5:45 in the morning, I think it was.
Yeah, the show finished at around 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it was a long one, but I don't mind that if the quality is there. I could easily watch 7 hours of NXT.
Yeah, definitely.
7 hours of NXT TakeOver, I could eat up.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was a little bit more difficult to get through. But we'll go through match by match and see what we thought. First of all, then on the pre-show, we opened things up with Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship.
Yeah, no surprises on how the show started. The fans weren't all in the arena at the time, stadium. There were still some empty seats, but that was just to get through security checks. It's always the way it's bound to happen. No real faults with it, to be honest. No mistakes, you know. What was it, a 10-minute match? So
10 minutes and 40.
10 minutes and 40. We predicted that Tony Nese would win the title, and he did. And he won it with the running Nese. Yeah, just box standard opener, really.
I love the name, the running Nese. I don't know why that got me. That did. Yeah, it was a decent match. It was a decent match. I'm so disappointed with this stigma that the Cruiserweight belt has attached to it now. That it always, it's regarded less than throwing a bunch of people in a ring with no build-up.
Yeah.
This has been built up now for quite a few months. It's been a full knockout tournament on 205 Live. It's been building up. There's been feuds. There's been battles back and forth. It was probably one of the better, actually, built-up matches on the whole card.
Yeah.
And still they just bung it out first. I think if the rumours are true and 205 Live is going to become part of SmackDown, that's the best possible thing that could happen for the Cruiserweight division and the Cruiserweight Championship. Because, I'm just fed up of seeing these real hard workers just being sent out there just to keep a few people entertained when they look to the seats.
That's it. I think it's hard to give credibility as well to the division when you're always on a pre-show. I can't remember the last time a 205 match has been on a pay-per-view. It's always on the pre-show.
Yeah. This is a women's rumble, apparently.
It's a women's rumble.
Ah.
I see Rhea Ripley there. But I believe it could have went onto the main card. There were some of the matches on the main card that should have been sacrificed. We'll go into that into more detail.
Yeah,
we go on.
I think if that match was given like an extra 5 or maybe even 10 minutes, that probably could have been the match of the night quite easily. The two guys have got the ability to do so.
Yeah.
Right, next up then we had the Women's Battle Royal, which they still haven't decided of another name for because,
Well, X-Pac made a very good point in the Hall of Fame speech that, you know what, China, give her the name for the Battle Royal. At the end of the day, if there was a Battle Royal back in the day, China would have been the top person, i.e. the Braun Strowman of female.
Yeah.
So I know it's only taken, I don't know how many years for Triple H to finally face defeat, to acknowledge China. I think one of the statements he made on the Stone Cold podcast was he didn't want children typing in China into Google and finding about adult movie history. But then if you look at Sunny and you type that into Google and she got a Hall of Fame ring, we don't need to go into details, but you get the drift.
It's not the only thing a ring got.
There you go. So, yeah, the Women's Battle Royal itself,
it was okay.
It was okay. It weren't great. I thought the finish where we all see that Sarah Logan...
I must say, it's the first time I've been tricked by that.
Yeah.
I normally always go, oh, so-and-so hasn't been eliminated yet, they're outside the ring, but she must have crept out very, very sneakily.
I think that split second when she eliminated Sonya Deville, but then the bell didn't go, I was like, well, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then you see Carmella come in. She didn't get an entrance for the Battle Royal, which made it look to see as if she weren't really a major player. And to see Naomi get one, and then she got eliminated quite swiftly. Just the biggest surprise out of it all was Asuka being eliminated, She'd been, put back into the Battle Royal where, in all honesty, she should have defended her title on that card, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I think the actual match itself wasn't too bad. I must admit, I never even considered Sarah Logan someone to win that, but when I thought she had, I was actually quite happy. I don't know why. I thought I like things that are a bit different every now and again, and just repeating the same matches of the same few people over and over again is a bit annoying for me, but we got it in the end. We got a Carmella victory. She's had a fantastic year, Carmella. I think she's won Money in the Bank a couple of times the last few years.
She was a former women's champion,
Yeah.
so it's not saying that we're going to bash the winner by saying, she didn't have the credentials, because she did. If it weren't Asuka, it had to be her.
Yeah, and it was nice to see a few of the NXT ladies well, like Kairi Sane and Candice LeRae.
Candice LeRae, they got a
Good old
spot on the
Candice.
card, so hopefully Kairi Sane may be on the main roster come night after WrestleMania.
I will not be surprised. I think they need that bit of extra depth.
Yeah.
If they were worried about Asuka defending against someone, they obviously don't think they've got enough depth there to really
That's it.
have that. But
So third match.
third match then was Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder versus The Revival. This was just so obvious what was going to happen.
Yeah, you did call it. You know, the 260-something winless streak from Kurt Hawkins. Again, it's a bit confusing, really, because we didn't think that the match would go. We thought it got cut, because as time was running out, we was like, are they going to do the match? Are they going to cut it? Are they going to make it more for the Rumble?
Especially what happened the night before the Hall of Fame. We
Yes.
thought it could have been a match that might have been dropped because of obviously Dash's punching a civilian in the face.
Yes. But again, we're not really surprised. It is the grand stage of them all, and for them to win the titles full circle from when they were edgeheads back in the noughties. Yeah, good for them. But they're going to drop it on Raw. So
They're going to drop it pretty quickly, I should imagine. I think it was an easy, cheap bit of a pop.
yeah,
I believe I don't know. I don't know where they're from, but I'm sure it was mentioned at some point they were the hometown boys.
Yeah, they're New York natives. So
And obviously Kurt Hawkins had the attire based on the
colours of the
team, whatever it was.
yeah, one of the baseball or football teams in America is wearing green.
Yeah.
So.
We don't really know much about American sport, to be completely honest with you. So it was a bit of cheap, easy pop, I think, for Vince to get, and
Yeah.
it was nice to see Kurt Hawkins. I think I got really annoyed when this losing streak of Kurt Hawkins started, but the more I realised that it was actually a really good thing for him, to be honest, because it got him over.
Definitely.
Losing week in, week out just got him over. So it swings and roundabouts.
Yep.
We'll see how long they keep it for. Who knows? He might go on a 200 winning streak now.
Oh,
You know.
there we go.
Right, next up then we had the final match on the pre-show, which was the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
So where do we even begin? I'll let you take the reign, because as we counted on the screen, there was 29 superstars that were advertised for the Battle Royal, which left who's the last guy, and I'll let you.
My WrestleMania moment. I don't care. I could have gone to bed happy last night knowing that Luke Harper was back. I was so annoyed because I really thought they were going to push him. Obviously, they had this whole stupid SNL Live thing that they wanted to do. That's great. Well done to them for that. But for me, if it had ended with... We saw it. We got teased at one point with Harper and Strowman just staring each other down because of the two former members of the Wyatt family. It would have been so good if that was the final two, but it wasn't to be the case. And I did read a couple of people on the internet, right? And this is something that speaks to me a lot. If you're American, it probably won't really affect you too much, but people were saying about how great this SNL Live segment was with Braun Strowman, and how could people be annoyed about this segment. But you got to remember that WrestleMania is going out around the world to hundreds of different countries watching this.
Yeah.
99% of the countries watching this have no idea who those two people were.
I've already forgotten their names. I couldn't tell you.
It was... it made literally... It was just like bringing two civilians to the ring. As far as I'm concerned, they could have picked two people at the crowd. It would have been the same finish for me.
Well, it was smart booking in the way that as soon as the match had started, they got out the ring, they went under the ring, and then waited for their spot. I didn't think...
Which I almost called.
You did almost call it. But then to see the last four, I think it was the Hardy Boys and Strowman, and then all of a sudden they creep out from under the ring, and it's like, oh God, no. Please, no. Please, please, no. But thankfully, our prediction, we said that Strowman would win it. I just don't know what the future holds for him. At the end of the day,
He just seems to never get anything, does he? It's just always in the crap little matches.
so he's never won the Memorial Battle Royal. He did win the Greatest Rumble, so it's another notch on his achievements. But I'm glad the pre-show was over and done with. To be honest, it was a hard watch.
There's a slight issue with Braun. I think there was supposed to be an elimination involving Luke Harper and Mustafa Ali, and Braun was quite a time out, so Harper ended up just holding Ali for about 30 seconds in the air, like, come on, Braun, where are you?
Yeah.
Where are you, Braun? And eventually he did do the big boot, knocked them both off the apron, and then Mustafa Ali took a hit. His head hit that announce table, and I think he was down for quite some time. Even when Braun was celebrating with his trophy, Mustafa Ali was still being checked over by the medics. But
I mean, I also remember Lince Dorado.
Oh God,
he fell.
Yeah, it's like someone throwing him over the wall.
Yeah, he definitely took a very, very hard back bump.
He did indeed. Well, at that point, the show started after a few more dodgy vignettes and this, that, and the other. The show started with Alexa Bliss, which is always a good start.
It's always a good start. I mean, I didn't know where it was going to go from there. To hype up the crowd, really, and then with a click of her finger, she can make a WrestleMania moment. And Hulk Hogan returned.
For me, I just don't... I've never really been that interested in her. If that was The Rock or Austin or Shawn Michaels, I think it would have been better, but... Hogan, the only good thing about the Hogan was the fact that he took the mick out of when he misnamed the stadium a few years ago. I thought that was quite comical, but...
And then he said, "Let me tell you something, Gene." And I'm like, "Where's Gene? Gene's not there."
Yeah.
You know? So I know they brought him back for the Crown Jewel because they wanted to bring him back in, but not straight away onto television. They wanted to take him to an audience where they would know they'd get a good reaction for him. But this time around, I mean, again, it's forgettable. It was his only real involvement in the WrestleMania event itself, so good little cheap pop and a good way to bring him back into America.
I think the whole segment was quite well linked in with the next part, though. I think to have them chatting away and then just have the Walrus himself, Mr. Paul Heyman, just storm between the two of them down to the ring, and that was a big surprise and aspect. And I think it was probably a good idea to get that match out the way, because there was a few people debating whether the main event actually meant you went on last, and to get the Lesnar match out the way straight away, it got the crowd hot. I think what they did, as I said to you yesterday, I think they might have taken... We've got 3 big matches. We've got Kofi Bryan, we've got Brock versus Seth in the women's match. I think they did one in the beginning, one in the middle, one at the end to try and spread the hot matches out. But it was a weird match. It was a Brock Lesnar match. I don't know what we're expecting. We're never going to expect a 20-minute classic. We're never going to expect a Mac classic. It was just a Brock Lesnar match.
Yeah.
He just attacked him, but it was an opposite Brock Lesnar match. Rather than somebody getting some momentum against Brock and then Brock hitting one finisher and winning, it happened the other way around. Seth got it this time.
It is crazy to think that Brock's probably the most highest paid wrestler on the show.
Yeah.
And he has a 5-minute match.
Yeah.
And gets on his private jet and goes home. There's no way that Brock would have sat there for 7 hours backstage involved with the crew. He just would have said to Vince, "Look, I'm here for my payday, my jet's outside, I'm going to get this done, I'm going to drop your title, and then I'm going home."
Yeah. And I think it's going to become a theme of this video here. For me, it was the right result, but the match was piss poor.
Yeah.
And
a low blow and 3 curb stomps.
Yeah, but the problem is we've come to expect that from Brock. And that's probably the main problem with Brock. That's probably why Raw's not been selling out. They've had no champion there, and even when they have, it's the match quality is just not there. And I think we've been spoiled with NXT and so forth, and it's just, I want something better. I do want something better, and hopefully now, if Seth gets a decent feud, we could actually have some proper good matches going forward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd love to see the likes of maybe Aleister Black or Seth versus Ricochet or something like that for the championship. That'd be really, really nice, as long as Brock just stays out the way for a good few months.
So we have AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. And again, I was surprised that came out second. Yeah. I thought they would have had that maybe mid-card. But to have it as the second match, I mean, there was no title on the line. There was no sort of outcome where it would determine a stipulation. It was just a plain singles match. As you noted this morning, the controversy that the fans in the crowd were blinded because the WWE's lighting, not many people could see it.
It's funny to say because we were watching the video beforehand and we were laughing the fact that WWE did it at the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
They left the lights on and a large portion of fans could not see what was going on. They did the same thing at Mania.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. They missed... Randy Orton actually put an apology out this morning on behalf of WWE, the fact that they completely missed Randy's match. Which did give it gave Randy a chance to lie a bit and tell everyone it was a great match.
It wasn't, it's... Again, when you've got nothing to fight for, you've got no championship on the line, you've got no real feud, as it were. I mean, it was a mini feud, but it weren't enough to say we're going to end this and settle the score at WrestleMania. You know, it's largely forgettable. I don't think they're going to continue it after WrestleMania. No. I wouldn't say it's largely forgettable. There were certain spots in the match that were quite good, but
was there? I don't remember any of them.
I'm trying to.
Yeah. Well,
I'm trying to.
If it gives you any indication of how good this match was, I just had to Google it to remember who won. We only watched it 12 hours ago, and I had to Google it to find out who won the match.
I think it was just really early on in the card, and again, I think because the first match was just a bit of a shocker in the way it was booked, and then obviously the second match was coming off the back of the fans not being overawed by the match before, but I don't think the place on the card helped it. That's why it made it forgettable.
And again, just like the first match, it was just piss poor quality. I really felt after that match that I was watching a standard episode of Raw or SmackDown. Yeah. It was just, I think the actual matches I've had on SmackDown were better.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things as well that I didn't like about this year's Mania was the fact that a lot of the matches that happened at Mania were matches that we've been seeing on Raw and SmackDown week after week in the past few weeks. And then the matches were special because we'd seen them over and over and over again. There was nothing that was new that we weren't expecting, so that was a bit disappointing. But yeah, another match that we were going to do a star system, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Everything so far has got 1 star.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That match for me was largely forgettable. At this point in time, there's nothing I would ever... I'd never sit here and go, you know what, I'm going to go on the network and watch that match from last year's Mania. There's nothing at this point in time that I think I would...
Well, just looking at the time frame of it, it was a 16-minute match, and we can barely remember 1 minute of it.
No.
That says it already, considering the timescales of other matches on the card. It's just... Yeah.
Well, I said that it was going to be a phenomenal forearm into an RKO, but apparently they've already used that on SmackDown, so it didn't really get used. It was just disappointing. Yeah. It really was. Again, it was a match that I hoped was going to be better, but it just wasn't.
Yeah. So
then finally, the card did take a turn for the better. We had the fatal 4-way SmackDown Tag Team Championship match: the Usos versus Black and Ricochet versus Rusev and Shinsuke versus the Bar, Cesaro and Sheamus. This was better.
Yeah, they had to spark the show. Obviously, the previous 2 matches was like, okay, 2 singles matches. They needed a bit of speed because the other 2 matches, I mean, Styles and Orton was so slow. I remember it being slow, and that's probably what made it 16 minutes. So the tag team match with the people involved, you knew that obviously being a fatal 4-way tag team match, you can only have 2 people in the ring at the same time. But that was never going to last because you knew there was going to be... I remember specifically there was a lot of finishing spots. So everyone tried to get in their move. So the Kinshasa, can't even say the bloody word. Kinshasa. Ricochet done his 450. The Black Mass came in. It was enough to put all their spot in. And I think they had the right result with the Usos retaining. We did call it. We did say that was going to be the case. And good for them.
Yeah, it was a good match. It was, I don't know whether it was a good match or whether it was better than the rest and it sort of felt a lot better. I'm not quite sure, to be honest with you, but yeah, it was the right end. I'm not a fan of Aleister Black and Ricochet as a tag team. I'm absolutely a massive fan of the pair of them as singles competitors, but why they're just thrust together as a tag team when there's blatantly good tag teams on SmackDown getting ignored?
Well, when you look at it on paper, you've got 4 single stars being thrust into a tag team program. Your club are in the Battle Royal. The Ascension are in the Battle Royal. The B Team. I know there's a difference between Raw and SmackDown. Rude and Gable, Heavy Machinery. And you're deciding to use 4 single stars and put them in a tag team program. It shows the faith that WWE have with their own tag division.
Which is crazy considering how great some of those tag teams did in NXT and tag team matches.
Yeah.
Authors of Pain's another one as well.
Yeah.
Talking of pain, the next match was Shane McMahon versus The Miz Falls Count Anywhere. Now this one was one that surprised you a little bit.
It did surprise me. I thought this would be the drizzling shits. That's the best way to describe it. I knew that Shane would be gassed out after 5 minutes as a big sweaty mess and he was dripping like he'd run a marathon. As I would say, it's the safest hands in the ring versus the safest worker in the ring, and they're in a no holds barred Falls Count Anywhere match, and you were looking around the arena going, well, what's Shane going to jump off? Because there was nowhere from the Tron, there was nowhere from the stage. By the time they got into the crowd, I mean, we'll go back to the fact that Miz's dad, who's got the greatest mullet of all time. He has got this 80s retro hair. He's been into this feud where Shane McMahon's like gripping his face, and he's come into the ring, and Shane's gone for the spot onto the table, and he's got in his son's way. Please don't do it. He goes into the ring. He's put his hands up. It's turned into a massive meme.
Yeah.
Where the Miz's dad has probably got more sort of attention than the two himself. But then again, as soon as we see them going into the crowd, and you see the scaffolding, you go, aha, they're jumping.
You
off
saw
that.
it. There was a large open area that looked like a crash mat. There was a scaffolding on one side missing. You knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. I did say in the preview, which I don't know has been uploaded at this point in time. It's taken ages to upload.
Yeah.
That I thought that the match was going to end with Miz doing something crazy, because we always expect Shane to do it.
Yeah.
Miz doing something along the same lines, and I still think, looking at it, I know Miz was the one who hit the suplex.
Yeah.
Effectively, it was Shane the one taking the bump.
Yes.
So Miz, all he did was just fall backwards onto a crash mat. It wasn't exactly the most difficult thing in the world, but it was a good finish. It was, again, a pretty decent match. Nothing spectacular. And again, nothing that I'm going to go back. If I want to go back and watch a amazing Shane match at WrestleMania, I'm thinking against Vince at, is it 19? 17. There's much better ones.
There is.
This is not going to be memorable. I'm ever going to go back and watch again.
But the laughable fact is that this was the best match of the night to this point.
To this point, yeah, probably was. And probably still will be, to be honest.
Yeah.
We'll have a look. We'll keep going through. Right after that match, then we had the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Team Championship match. The Iconics, the Boss and Hug Connection, I think they're called the Samoan Slaughterhouse now. Nia Jax and Tamina.
Yep. On television.
They were mentioning it once on Twitter, I think. And then the Divas of Doom, Beth Phoenix and Natalya.
Yes.
It's a weird one, this. What I thought was going to happen was that Boss and Hug would walk away still champion and continue their little tour around WWE and NXT and NXT UK and all that sort of stuff. But I must admit, what I wanted to have was for the Iconics to win. I thought they might be a little bit too green to do it, and I hope that they are going to be able to pull off some good matches with the belt. But I was surprised. I was happy. It seems like the only tag team that's not forced.
Yes, and that's why I called it on the predictions that the Iconics would win, because Beth Phoenix was never going to be doing a program or doing a on the road with the WWE. We knew it was a one-shot deal.
She's got kids.
Bayley and Sasha, I don't know. I had a feeling they'd drop it, but they will be champions again. They will have a program with the Iconics, so they need something to continue on with. And with Nia and Tamina, they were barely in it. I think they eliminated them from the match, and then Tamina was gone for a while.
Well, they didn't,
so then
did they?
It was between the three tag teams, and then all of a sudden there was this re-emergence. And they was never going to put the tag teams on them, titles on them, because how are you going to take it off them?
I must have missed something, right? Because I saw them team up and take out Nia Jax.
Yeah.
They threw Nia Jax into the ring steps.
Yeah.
So why the hell did Tamina stay down as well?
Oh,
is it like a voodoo doll? Are they like connected?
She can't work without her. To be honest, she can't work at all.
No.
But the result that I thought it would be is it's a good result. The tag team, a genuine tag team, having the titles. I don't know how long they're going to get them for, but good for them.
I was surprised Vince pulled the trigger on that, to be honest, but I really thought they could leave him with Bayley and Sash a bit longer, because they only won him elimination, and they only had him for like a month.
Yeah.
So I thought the first championship reign would be a bit longer, and I feel like the Iconics should keep them for a while, because they don't want to give this sort of idea this championship's going to keep changing hands every few weeks. It needs to have a stalwart sort of long-term champion.
Yeah.
Whether they're the ones to do that, I don't know. But like I said, it's the only organic team they seem to have, apart from, of course, Sane and Shirai, the Sky Pirates, who were fantastic at NXT TakeOver. They should.
And we're still hoping that they make the leap up. At the end of the day, they're on a lot of money down there. They're one of the highest earning women down in NXT. So I think it's only a matter of time that they are brought up.
Yeah, definitely. It was a decent match. Like I said, it was probably more decent because of the finish than the actual quality of the match. It wasn't the best match in the world. It wasn't on the same quality as the men's Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match, but it was decent. It got the job done.
Yeah.
Next up out of nowhere then was Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship. The longest match of the night, 24 and 45 minutes.
So 25 minutes. as I said to you before on the predictions, I'm a casual fan. I'm a massive wrestling fan. I could tell you anything that happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. I'm not happy with Kofi Kingston being in the title picture. He is there because Mustafa Ali got injured. I just think it's right time, right place. But to start the whole push from the Royal Rumble, then to Elimination Chamber and Fastlane, I don't know. I'm not in the Kofi Mania section. I'm not. I just can't get my head over it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was a massive Kingston fan when he came in as a Jamaican. When they'd stopped the high fly and the cruiserweight division was long over, and I thought he was something fresh. He was a creation that WWE moulded and made, regardless of a fake accent. But overall, yeah, it just baffles me. I still cannot get my head around it.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, I'm not a massive Kofi Kingston fan. I saw the crowd was so into it.
Probably the most over it that the crowd was in the entire event.
Yeah, it was a good feel good moment. I'm not exactly sitting here saying I really wanted Kofi Kingston to win, but what I did want is something different. I mean, SmackDown has become quite repetitive. We've got the same 2 or 3 people in the main event go for the championship over and over again. To have a fresh champion that can have fresh storylines and something new, I think is good and something I want to see. So I mean, I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I was always in the boat that Jinder winning the championship was a good idea at the time. Because it was something different. It was something different. It made sense with the Indian tour.
Yeah, so someone who was a jobber, went away for a while, got big, jobbed a little bit more, hurt Finn Balor, and then you give him a title. Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted to. I just thought I like stuff that's fresh. I mean, it could have been anybody and I would have been up with it. Just because it's something different, not just the same regurgitated 3 or 4 champions over and over again.
Well, I think what I said as well in the earlier video was I can't fathom the idea of Kofi Kingston lifting the hemp organic title. And you did call it earlier in the event to say there's a title underneath that stage, as in
it was obvious what they were doing.
But obviously they've brought the original title back out. The plates are already on the fucking belt with Kofi's name on. Oh!
You think that's bad? I've not told you this yet. You think that's bad? I've not told you this, right? I've read this morning, citation needed, I've not checked it yet. I read this morning WWE released the new shirt with a championship belt on before WrestleMania.
Oh, God. Merchandise.
Yep.
Vince, you sly old dog.
They spoiled WrestleMania by releasing the t-shirt early.
Oh,
I've not checked it myself, but I've read that's the case, and it's been mentioned a few times this morning.
I've got to take something positive from this thing. Obviously, watching the match last night, I think Shabby Gamer was just so miffed how negative I was. And his children coming into the ring celebrating with him, I would say was the only positive comment I can give from that match.
It was a real. I think it was supposed to be a feel good for the whole, because the whole roster was behind him.
Yeah.
It's the work that has been. It's
and the backstage with the people looking on the screen. And I said to Shabby Gamer, I said, he's winning this title. It's all set up for it.
Yeah.
You know, babyface prevails. And again, this whole new Daniel Bryan, he's been branded the new Daniel Bryan. We'll change his theme song then, because Flight of the Valkyries was his face theme. If you're making him evil, then just twinge the theme a little bit and just give it a bit more of a different sound, because the crowd were giving the yes chant to Kofi. And I'm thinking...
Yeah, it's a bit like Kurt Angle's theme, isn't it? Where with they like him or they hate him, they're still going to shout, you suck.
Yeah.
And with Daniel Bryan, they love or they hate him, they're still going to chant yes on the way down to the ring.
Yeah.
It's one of those, it probably does need a little bit of a change.
Well, again, I've run out of things to say for that.
Yeah, it was nice. It was sort of like it was what Kurt Angle should have got.
Yes.
They basically said to Kofi Kingston, you've been here for 11 years, you've worked your ass off, you've had some cracking matches, you've done some crazy stuff in Elimination Chamber and Money in the Bank and Royal Rumbles and all that sort of stuff. So we're going to give you the treat by letting you have this massive WrestleMania moment with your family and your friends, Big E and Xavier, who are just the most comedy banter guys.
The Hall of Fame was just fantastic, because you put them on the hard cam, you get what you deserve. And I've always said this, Big E should have been the one. He was the most physically inept to it. He was a former NXT champion. He was someone who should have been given more of a push as a solo star.
I think he will do in the future. I think he's still quite young. I think himself and Xavier are still much younger than Kofi, I would imagine.
Okay.
So I would imagine he probably will get that. It was something that Vince wanted to do, wasn't it? They brought him in as a bit of a henchman.
Yeah, with Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah, they've always been sort of put into these championship pictures, the New Day. They've always sort of picked, and it has generally been between himself and Kofi. But it was, yeah, I'd say I just wanted something fresh, and that's exactly what we've got.
Okay.
So next up after that match, we had... Well, this was just terrible.
Right.
I mean...
We was trying to rack our brains for a minute, because I was saying to Shabby Gamer, this is Joe's WrestleMania debut.
Yeah.
He came in the night after Mania, and then I believe the next Mania he was injured. So then this was his debut.
Yeah.
After all the years of work in Ring of Honor and TNA and, you know, really never been given the opportunity on the grandest stage of them all. He has to work Ray, who's hurt, and because they have advertised the match, they cannot pull the plug regardless of Ray's health.
It was just stupid. What they should have done, in my opinion, was just made it into a fatal four-way, allowed Ray to get beaten up in the early part, and just sit on the outside.
I know what I would have done. I would have stuck it on the pre-show, and then given the Cruiserweight match or the Tag Team title match to go on the main card. Because the entrances were longer than the match itself. You know, for a minute I thought, okay, they're going to do maybe a 5-minute match, maximum 10. But to have it as a 1-minute squash, and ironically Sarah Logan actually wins a Women's Rumble.
I was just thinking that, yeah. Yeah, it was disappointing for me. It made little sense. It was... If he's injured, why not just leave him? Why make him work? Why not make it into a fate? I'm surprised it was a 1-on-1 to start with, to be honest, because the whole feud had been built up over and over again as a... Well, it was a 4-way for a chunk of time, wasn't it? Ray was in there, Almas was in there, R-Truth was in there, Nakamura was in there for a little bit of time as well. So why they decided on going with solely... Oh, the controller's been disconnected. Why they decided to go solely with the singles match to finish off with, I'm not quite sure. And if he's not fit to work, why make him work? And why make him work so late in the card? I know it was just pointless. It really, really was. And they really should have done something else or something better, because that was just... It was a waste of time. I think people in the crowd were like, well, what was the point? What the hell was that? And say the entrances and even the celebration was longer. I mean, we called exactly what was going to happen. We said Joe was going to choke him out, and that's exactly what did happen. But yeah, the less said about that match, the better. If we were going to give it a star, we wouldn't do, because there was no match.
I'd say it was a half star.
There was no match, was there, really?
No.
But after that one, we had PJ Tovey's favourite match of the evening.
Oh,
Roman Reigns versus Drew
God.
McIntyre.
The Battle of the Hosses. I really am struggling to give once again another positive spin on a WrestleMania match. I knew that Reigns would win because of the return from his illness. We was just obviously a bit swayed towards Drew McIntyre as Vince's latest project. But as you called it, Superman punch, spear, pin, done.
Yeah, Roman Reigns' matches are so obvious, because every single match is exactly the same.
Yeah.
Every single match is exactly the same. It always... I think it goes down to... I'm going to go to psychology now for a second. That's all right with you. I read before, right, that children enjoy repetition. Which is why John Cena has his 5 moves of doom.
Yeah.
Because the kids... That's why you ever watch TV programs, kids, they always have something that's repeatable over and over again.
Yeah. Easily identifiable as well.
Yeah, so that's what Cena does. Cena's got his 5 moves of doom, because the kids start to understand what these 5 moves are, and he understands what those 5 moves mean, that he's going to come to win. And I think Reigns has got to the same scenario now, where he's just using... There's no variation, and we all know that it's going to be... And again, it was another weird match where it just didn't feel like it was supposed to be the end. It was just... It felt short. It didn't feel special. It didn't feel like it should be a Mania match. I mean, as much as we all have a go at Reigns, his matches against Lesnar and even The Taker,
they weren't bad.
They weren't bad. They were half decent at Mania. There was just nothing to it. It was...
Well, as soon as he came in, you could tell that the production truck was like, right, we're just going to mute the crowd very
Oh, yeah,
so
there was
slightly.
a big mute, yeah.
But no, he's back, he's healthy, we're not wishing illness on him and bad vibes. But I just don't know what sort of program they're going to put him in now. I to be honest, I don't really care.
Yeah, I mean, with Dean going, so that means probably Shield's going to go. Will they keep him on Raw? I would imagine so, because Vince loves Raw and Vince loves Reigns.
Yeah.
McIntyre, I feel like McIntyre would benefit from moving to SmackDown.
Yeah.
I feel like he would probably have better matches against those sort of guys. And it was one that you said it was obvious that Reigns was going to win. For me, it was obvious Reigns was going to win, but it was also, I just couldn't see them stopping McIntyre's push because they want him to be a main event star, and now losing a big match at WrestleMania is going to really halter that progress. He's going to have to sort of build himself back up again.
Yeah.
And say he's been going so well leading up to WrestleMania. He's beaten up everyone in his path, and yeah, it was. I don't know if I heard that right yesterday. Were they saying that was Roman Reigns' first singles match in 5 months?
Yeah.
He's only wrestled tag match. So no wonder it was terrible.
Yeah.
He's got ring rust, and they brought him back in for a match at WrestleMania against quite a stiff opponent.
I just think it was, as we said, two big hosses, power struggle, grounded, and the only time they left their feet was probably when they'd done the drive-by.
Yeah.
So, again, nothing spectacular.
Again, a simple match that you could see in any episode of Raw.
Yeah. So,
next up then, I haven't missed one, no. Next up was Triple H versus Batista, no holds barred. Interesting moments.
There was a lot of moments from this match. Some comedic, some brutal, some predictable to a degree.
It was always going to be heavy hitting.
Yeah, so Batista comes out, he's got his black vehicles and he's sitting in one of them and he slams the door as he's exiting the car and he's coming down to the ring and he trips on the rope.
That is the only thing I think I would ever go back to watch
so he's
WrestleMania
coming,
for.
He's serious, he's angry, and as he's coming, he's tripped, he nearly fell on his ass, and then he's just trying to laugh it off. And instantly it's like, right, there's your heat, there's your sort of
yep, your heels gone.
Man on the warpath, and then he's just nearly fell on his ass.
Yeah.
And in Triple H's entrance, he comes in on this Mad Max-esque vehicle. I was praying he fell off because I thought it was just...
It was very cheap as well.
It was a Triple H entrance. It has to be on some form of a four-wheeler, three-wheeler vehicle. But yeah, the match itself, it was straight sledgehammers and chairs.
It's exactly what I expected from a match between those two. It was sort of going back to that sort of era. It's the sort of match you'd expect from that era.
Getting the toolbox out, using the fingers, with the
pliers,
the pliers. And then pulling out his nose ring, which I think everyone in the crowd and everyone at home was elated for because it was like, you look stupid wearing that bloody nose ring. I don't think it came off as easy as it did. I think, obviously, the hands were covering the nose piece.
Yeah.
So I think it may have been removed and passed on to Triple H, but there was no way that... Because it would have tore his nose.
There was a little bit of hole in the blood where there was a little bit of blood in the hole where the nose ring was,
but not enough.
But if you pull it out, you've got to pull it out. There'll be a whole slot, not just a hole. It was an interesting little segment. It was one I liked. Triple H is always quite thoughtful about these sort of things. And I do think he puts on a good match, Triple H, and that's why I was sure. And it's one of the things I don't like when they put careers on the line. It's supposed to be like a big thing, but because they put Triple H's career on the line, I knew Triple H wasn't going to lose.
And you look at it today, we've seen the reports that Batista's retired. So
yeah, Batista's retired instead.
So after all of that, he wants Hunter's career on the line, but then he just sacrifices his own. Well done, Dave.
Well done, Dave. It was what it was. You called the Flair interference. I thought DX were going to get involved because they were Hall of Fame, but they were not there. So Shawn was on commentary, and Shawn was actually the most tired person by then in that match somehow.
Well, as we're talking about guest commentators, guest colour announcers, Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah, they love that, didn't
Jerry Lawler, Booker T, JBL, Shawn Michaels, God.
Paige,
yeah. I'm just looking at it going... You've already got an announced team. I think there was obviously Nigel McGuinness, there was Vic Joseph, there was Percy Watson, there was Aiden English. How many guys do you need? And I know it's in certain matches that they're brought in to do it, but Jesus Christ.
It was a bit over the top, wasn't it, really?
It was. So I know they needed different... we was having a laughing joke saying, well, where's JR? But that man just signed a multi-million-year deal with AEW, so he's got out there whilst he could. So fair play to Jim Ross.
So next up then was Baron Corbin versus Kurt Angle. What a load of shit.
Well, before we talk about the match, we had the idea, and I think everybody had the idea, that John Cena would come into the match maybe 2 minutes in, quick ankle lock, whatever, and the match would be done. But as we divert, we go to the Elias segment. He's in the ring, the crowd are loving it, fantastic, and we're thinking Honky's going to make his entrance, and possibly The Rock, with his famous acoustic guitar. And then we hear the old John Cena theme, and we just, at that point, went, okay, he's not going to be involved in the Angle match, so is it going to be Taker coming in with Kurt Angle, to give him the send-off and the salute? This is probably the first WrestleMania in a long time where Taker hasn't appeared.
Yeah.
Not even in a brief moment. He was just non-existent, so...
Which he's not retired because he's scheduled for the Saudi Arabia shows.
I don't know if this is a punishment from Vince that he was working, was it Starcade or Starcast, and he was working, doing other projects but was non-affiliated with the WWE. So I don't know if it was a punishment, but yeah, John Cena having his rap battle, very tongue-in-cheek, very funny. I ain't gonna lie. It was,
he was good, wasn't he?
He was good. I thought, do you reckon he's gone back to his buzz cut? But I think people laughing at his hair so much, it was like, just get a cap on, John, and get your old gear on, and the whole baseball influence of the vignette with Babe Ruth, and I don't know, lost for words for that. But we're going to be more lost for words to describe the Baron Corbin Kurt Angle match itself. I mean,
it just made no sense. It was so late in the night, so you expected something big. When it was so late in the night, I said to you, they're waiting for it to get dark, so Undertaker's entrance has full effect.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin came out perfectly fine. We knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I was convinced he was going to squash him.
Yep.
And he did.
Yeah.
Baron Corbin squashed Kurt Angle in 6 minutes. It was... I'd said myself that it makes sense for Baron Corbin to win because he could have got some cheap heat to actually to build upon moving out of Mania.
That's what I mean. Even if
but he won clean. If he'd won by cheating,
then again he can be feeling sorry for Kurt. He's been wrongly done for his final match. But yeah, to lose clean to a guy who's been losing matches on Raw,
you got squashed by Apollo Crews.
Yeah. I was pretty deflated over that. So I'm not saying it's ruined Kurt Angle's lineage. But the Kurt Angle we once knew is not the guy that came into WWE.
Yeah, he was very sloppy. You could tell he needed to retire. But then, I said to you last night, it's like he's faced off against Joe, he's faced off against AJ Styles over the past few weeks on Raw and SmackDown. Why wasn't that the match at Mania?
Well, yeah, and
I know
also,
Joe couldn't be because of the United States belt, but AJ...
But for Kurt Angle, he came out in his Team Angle jacket, the old school early noughties jacket, and you've got Shelton Benjamin, who's in this Battle Royal. I can't even tell you who eliminated him. I can't even tell you when.
Was he even in the Battle Royal?
He was in the Battle Royal.
I didn't even notice him.
Why not pass the torch to Shelton? Why give it to Baron bloody bastard Corbin?
Or even Gable.
Oh.
Gable and Angle had a great match on Raw.
But because that was already on television, maybe that's why they did do it. But yeah, no interaction between Benjamin and Angle. I just felt that was the time.
Even if Benjamin came out at the end, to be with Angle at the end and hold his hand up high and that sort of stuff, but no, just nothing at all.
So this is where it gets even better with the next match.
Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley, Intercontinental Championship. 4 minutes and 5 seconds.
And I'm telling you now, Finn Balor's entrance was longer than this entire match.
Yes. Not quite as long as the Hardy Boys entrance in the pre-show.
Oh my God.
That was about 4 minutes, or five minutes.
What was Strowman doing? Going for a shit or something?
God, it was... Yeah, it was great to see the Demon. It was great to see Finn Balor win.
Yeah.
Again, the match quality wasn't there. There was no point of the Demon because he'd already beat Lashley clean a few times. Lashley hit him clean a few times. And it's just what I said earlier on. the matches weren't special because we've seen them over and over again for the past few weeks, months in this case.
Yeah, and I made a joke to you at the end of the match. You know when Finn Balor's not really worked hard when all of his paintwork is still on him.
Yeah.
There was.
It was so underwhelming as the entire card was, to be honest.
I'd say Bobby Lashley looked quite cool with his eyes. You know,
Lashley did look cool, yeah.
He put the.
He looked like an angry turtle.
He did, but it gave a different look to him. You know, instead of playing Bobby Lashley with black trunks, he put the.
Yeah, it makes me feel. You know, like when you go to a Halloween party.
Yeah.
And you get something cheap to just put on to have your outfit.
Yeah.
And then you turn up at the party and everyone else is dressed up in his really cool, expensive outfits.
Yeah.
That was Bobby Lashley.
It was.
He's like, oh, and he brought the contacts and he's covered in paint.
Yeah. I'm just hoping they stop really with the Intercontinental shifting it about. You know, just keep it on Balor. Give him a run. Give him some good feuds. Just.
Balor versus Black or Balor versus Ricochet.
There's so many people that can use in that mid card.
Zayn's coming back. You got Owens, who's back now as well.
Let's not get us started on the way that Kevin Owens weren't even on the card. The way that Dean Ambrose wasn't even on the card. It was, oh God.
And finally, then the main event of the evening was the women's triple threat match, which was 21. It wasn't even the longest match of the evening. It was 21 minutes and 30, which was the third longest match of the evening.
Yeah.
There was a weird
helicopter skip,
which I looked at this morning. Apparently, it's something that Ric Flair did in the 80s.
Yes, when he was at the Great American Bash.
Yeah, so
he would enter the ring on a helicopter.
Yeah, so I was wondering what the whole point of that is. That's essentially what it was. I think they got some sort of deal with this helicopter people. They were there
so they've done the flyover, and it's like, okay, whilst you're here, can you just bring Charlotte Flair in, not actually into the arena, but just get her in the car park. You know, pre-recorded. You know, I think it might have been an hour before the match had taken place. Where do we start with the match?
It was another match that ended, and I was like, really? Yeah. That's it? There was no... I mean, you expect from these certain people now certain spots. And I expected a Charlotte dive from the top to the outside. I expected that. It didn't happen. I wonder, after reading the news this morning, that Ronda apparently severely broke her hand. I'm not quite sure in what spot that was.
Yeah.
I wonder if the match might have been called a little bit early. But according to the powers that be and people that believe they know what's going on, such as Meltzer, that was supposed to be the end. It wasn't rushed. It wasn't botched. Well, it was botched.
It was botched.
It was botched good and proper, but that was supposed to be the end.
The worst possible finish you could have to make it dusty. You know?
It started very bad. I mean, everything went bad in the end sequence.
I think nerves played a part. You know, this is the first ever women's main event at Wrestlemania, and it will be the last. I can't see them ever doing this again.
I mean, Charlotte was supposed to go through the table.
And didn't.
No.
And then rolled out the ring. And I know that's going to be on Botchamania. We know this because the table won.
I am the table.
The table won. Charlotte Flair rolls out the ring. If she'd gone through the table, fair enough. But, the crucifix pin will forever live long. They can't show that package
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. There's a lot more boxes leading up to that pin.
We was trying to be more favourable and not...
So, the table didn't break. Then, from somewhere, Ronda went for... I don't know whether it was a Shining Wizard.
Yeah.
Or whether it was supposed to be a drop kick.
Yeah.
But it looked like she just did some sort of flying vagina attack.
And I think it was Lynch who tried to recover. I don't know if it was Lynch or Flair, but tried to make the best out of it.
It was Flair. So it's Lynch, sorry. Because Flair was on the outside after going through the table. Well, through the table, inverted commas.
Yeah.
From there on, Lynch was down. Ronda rolled through to pick up the fireman's carry as she does for a finisher.
Struggled.
Did not have the leg strength, had to grab the rope to help herself up.
Yeah.
Then hit her finisher into the crucifix pin when her shoulders were not even on the mat.
They were on the final 2 counts of the 3, but you could visibly see it, you know, whether it was intentional, whether it was an accident, you know. They cannot go back to that package of Becky winning the title, visibly showing that her shoulders were not down.
Yeah. Well, from what I've read, the idea, the crucifix pin was the idea because And this is terrible. They were arguing between two options. One was for Becky to make Ronda tap, which I thought was the best option because it was something that Ronda's never done in her entire career. So it would have been something special. It would have been a massive pop. It would have been an outstanding, like, oh my god, she made a tap. And then the other idea was to go for the cheap pin.
Yes.
The cheap pin means that if Ronda wants to come back, then she can come back and say, well, it was just a fluky victory.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's really cheapened Becky's win.
Oh, definitely. I think it ruined Becky's win.
Yeah, and the crowd were dead.
They were
partly
knackered.
Because they were knackered. It's been a long show. But I've said as well before, if you give me 7 hours of NXT TakeOver, I'd eat that up.
Yeah.
I watch Wrestle Kingdom. That's not too far away from the difference in time, yet the main event, the crowd are hot because the quality of match is there, and the quality of match was not here at all.
So forgive us if we're coming across as super negative, because we've gone and looked at other reviews, we've looked at other people's opinions, and everybody's happy. Everybody's saying, oh, what a fantastic show, and it all worked out well. And this is for people who were there in the arena, stadium, with the atmosphere and the moment. But we're looking on, watching it from home.
Yeah,
but we shouldn't be able to pick it apart. We should be able to just enjoy it. But
there's two aspects to this, right? There's the results and there's the matches. The results were probably correct.
Yeah.
But the matches were just not good enough.
No.
The whole way through the show, the matches were not good enough. But the results were there. That's why people are happy, because the people they wanted to see won. It's a bit like in a game of football, playing terribly for the entire match but sneaking a 1-0 win.
Yeah.
That's what, and people are happy with that. But at the end of the day, if people have said it's a good WrestleMania, for me, it's a good WrestleMania if I can go back next year and watch it again and enjoy it again.
I can't.
I'm never going to load this Mania up again. I'm never going to watch it again. It was at the time. It was fun to watch at the time.
Yeah.
We picked it apart at the time, but I'm never going to go back and watch it again. There's just not enough there to pull me back. I mean, the women's match I was so hopeful for because of how good Charlotte Asuka was last year.
Yeah.
And it showed me that Ronda just can't work that well.
You got to remember,
if Asuka was in place of Ronda, that match would have probably been 10 times better.
It would have been better. You got to remember that
it probably wouldn't have drawn though.
Ronda Rousey is coming from a legitimate judo background. She's an Olympic medalist. She's a former MMA champion. So where they're saying that they're going to tap out Ronda, that would have probably been worse than the botched finish with the crucifix, because
that's what would have made it special.
It would have made it special, but the legitimacy of it, there's no bloody way that Ronda Rousey's going to tap from a half-assed fucking armbar. You know, so my opinion is that Becky should have won it by pinning Charlotte, so it saves Ronda from basically taking the pin. But again, that didn't happen. Dusty finish. They won't be able to relive it on the package, but just because of the shoulders not being down. So unlucky, never mind.
But now the issue is where do they go from here? Becky holds the championship for both Raw and SmackDown. Where do they go from here? Is she going to have to give one up? Is she going to unify them?
I think she's going to unify them. And Becky will go on Raw and SmackDown and defend the titles like that. It just shows that they haven't got enough female combatants, or they look in the Rumble and you think, well, why not? There's that many females on the show. But yeah, I think they'll unify them.
Well, people that watch my Universe mode know how much I hate double champions.
Yeah.
Because how do you just defend one belt? If she goes and defends the SmackDown belt against Charlotte, Charlotte wins. Charlotte's got a right going, hang on a minute, I beat you, why have I not got the Raw Championship? It just gets very, very messy very quickly.
She'll come onto Raw, she'll have both titles, but there will be a time where they just unify them.
My weird and wonderful way of thinking was that maybe with the TV deal at Fox, they wanted to ensure that Becky was going to stay on SmackDown.
Yeah.
WWE thought, well, crap, we've already got a Raw Championship match now, it's not going to make much sense. So if we give her the SmackDown belt as well, then tell her the night after Mania, look, you've got to pick one and stay on that brand. She can pick SmackDown, stay on SmackDown, keep Fox happy, and still win the main event of Mania. It's a possibility. We just have no idea at the moment. I think it's going to be interesting to see how the fallout of Mania finishes up. We've got Raw and SmackDown come over the next couple of days. Unfortunately, the shake-up doesn't happen until next week. But it'll be interesting to see what does happen, who comes up from NXT, if there's any real changes, any real massive heel changes, massive face changes, somebody fresh in the main event. Just they need something. They need something, because that for me, normally you come out of WrestleMania, last few years I come out of WrestleMania, I've gone, I really enjoy WrestleMania, I'm going to try and make more of an effort to watch Raw and SmackDown in the next few months.
This hasn't enticed me to watch it whatsoever.
No, it's enticed me to watch more NXT, to be honest with you. And that it's the same way again. NXT, I want to say they blew them out of the water.
They did.
NXT blew them so far out of the water they couldn't see the water anymore.
No.
They were completely bone dry. They got blown out of the water that much.
It's just, to me, it feels like NXT is an indie brand. They work like indie workers. And the WWE is just the sports entertainment of it's the spectacle and it's all about characters and all about storylines. But in NXT, they can have matches and not really work off a storyline. The match quality is in there. They're given the time. They're given they're just better. There's no other way to describe it. Just better.
Yeah, and I think I think it was always destined to fail from the beginning because the matches on paper, no one necessarily had good chemistry. They weren't necessarily built up too well. Whether they overdid it and didn't have enough time to build the matches up correctly, or whether they thought they could get away with it, but it just for me, when you leave people like Kevin Owens, Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, you're leaving some of your best workers off the card, and we really did get a lot of boring matches. And so we don't want to be too down on it. I mean, it was decent. It filled a hole, but it's never going to be anything I'm going to go back to and watch again.
And Pitbull didn't show up, so that was great. You know, there was no dodgy half-time.
It was the best. Yeah, it was the best musical act in WrestleMania history.
Yeah, because there was none.
Yeah, apart from Elias.
Oh, well, that was just great.
That was pretty good. I love the part where he was talking to himself on the Titantron. That was pretty fun.
Yeah.
But that's what we think anyway. It's been we've been thinking about it on an hour, you know.
We're going to have to do a two-part on this, aren't we?
It's an hour. It's crazy, isn't it? But we'll get it uploaded. Hopefully you guys have watched it. If you are, then obviously, as normal, type sausage in the comment. Sausage. I don't know whether that was. We were all drunk that night, I tell you. But yeah, let us know what you think about it in the comment section down below. I mean, like we said, if you're looking at the results, if you look at it on paper, it's a good WrestleMania. If you wanted, like us, just to have good quality wrestling to enjoy, it wasn't really there. No. But we knew that was going to happen. We knew it was quite clear from the offset that TakeOver was going to outshine it. It always does. And I don't know, if Vince is happy with that Mania, then good on him. But I personally wouldn't be. If I was Triple H, I'd be laughing, realising how much.
Hands going. This won't be hard to.
Oh no, yeah. It's like when Solskjaer took over from Mourinho.
Yeah.
There was the only way is up. But if Triple H does take over, then I feel like it's going to be.
You've got the players. You've just got to change the style.
Yeah, and it should be easy for him. I think there's a lot of dead wood in that roster that needs going as well. That should happen very soon. With the amount of NXT guys, obviously they've had to oversign because of AEW. So they need to just clear things out. Yeah. But we're going to call that it for the video because it has been a long one. Of course, if you've enjoyed, please do hit a like and of course subscribe if you want to see some more. Obviously, thank you once again to PJ Tovey for a few videos he's done with us.
No worries.
And we will see you hopefully again soon for something a little bit better. I've been Shabby Game with PJ Tovey.
See you later.
Good night.